Hello and welcome to episode number 287. This is the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com and I'm Cornelius Fichtner. If you are listening to this podcast, then you are most likely either someone who wants to start a career in project management or you are already working in the project management field and you want to advance your career. Well, you have come to the right place because this is the first of 3 interviews that will help you optimize and boost your project management career. My guest today is Dev Ramcharan. Dev is not only a PMP certified project manager, but he is also a professional career coach with Aruka Career Coaching in Canada. That means he not only understands the profession of project management, but he also has the coaching background to guide you and me into successful project management careers. And my, oh my, is he good. We have recorded 3 interviews and each focuses on one stage of your career. The stages are early career, mid-career, and late career. And my recommendation is that you listen to all 3 interviews in sequence, irrespective of your current career stage. So no matter if you are an absolute newcomer to project management, or if you are a highly respected senior vice president of project management, you should listen to all 3 interviews, starting with this one here, because there are nuggets of wisdom for every stage in each of the interviews. Also, Dev has developed the Career Optimization Package for you. This package is just over 30 pages long and contains templates, workbooks, tools and plans to help you review, optimize, plan and boost your project management career. You can download this package for free in both PDF and Microsoft Office format from the PM Podcast website. Just go to pm-podcast.com/career. You'll see that there is the 32-page long free version. That's the one we talk about during the interviews. And then there is also a premium version. The premium version is a much more complete package because it contains additional career tools, checklists, and workbooks. So compared to the free version, the premium gives you a comprehensive, full career lifecycle coverage with a powerful toolset. We are launching this premium version initially at the price of $29.99, but we're also giving away 4 copies for free. As always, 2 copies are reserved for our premier listeners and 2 copies are open for grabs. Please go to facebook.com/pmpodcast and participate in the giveaway. We'll draw a winner at the end of October 2014. And with all that out of the way, let's get into our first interview with Dev Ramcharan. We start out by looking at the benefits that a career in project management gives you, discuss the key factors and skills that will help you make your project management career a success. Then we move on to discussing how to optimize your early career, and we close the interview by looking at how to use the free career optimization package. So please get into an optimal listening position and enjoy the interview.
The Project Management Podcasts feature interview.
Today with Dev Ramcharan, founder and lead coach of Aruka Career Coaching.
Hello, Dev. Welcome to the Project Management Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a real delight to be here, Cornelius.
And it's great to have you here. So we want to talk about career optimization for project managers. So tell me, what will the listeners get out of our conversation?
Well, I hope they'll get a couple of things. First of all, clarity on some of the success factors that project managers need to keep in mind as they're actually performing their jobs and seeing their careers move forward. In addition to that, an understanding of some of the principles or some guidelines, some good advice on what they need to be mindful of at each of the key stages of their career. And then finally, orientation in a package of tools, or at least some thoughts about some tools that they can use to help them in a very proactive way manage the different stages and some of the challenges that they experience along the way in their career. So those are the three areas I'd want listeners to get something out of.
And the one thing we can't forget, they're also going to get a template out of this for their career optimization, but we'll take a look at that in just a little bit. Before we get started with the actual career optimization that we want to focus on, let's take a little bit of a step back here. What are the benefits of a career in project management?
There are some significant benefits for anyone in project management. If you're interested in coming into or coming more fully into project management, or you're already in it, thinking in terms of these benefits actually helps you to anchor yourself, and it gives you a sense of hopefulness when you hit those doldrums periods in your career. One, there's an end-to-end view of an organization, from planning to operations, from strategy down to day-to-day, everyday work, that a project manager tends to get line of sight into, unlike many of the individuals that are in very specific and tightly siloed areas of the organization. Second, being a project manager is an excellent way to develop management skills. You're a virtual manager without the headache of having to be accountable for someone else's performance reviews and performance development, though in some instances that might be something that you do give some kind of input into and inform the process for. Third, you have the chance to be a real change agent in the organization. As you go from top to bottom, side to side, department to department, going through all of the different stages of your career or of your project, you, above any other role in the organization, have got a sense of the cross-functional process improvements that need to occur. Those key overlaps that sometimes need to be differentiated a little bit more than they usually are. You're the one who identifies those things, and you are the one particularly in the intelligent use of lessons learned sessions who can come back to the organization and suggest things that can be changed and improved. Another thing is you gain transferable skills, and you really do develop the technique for getting things done, because there is nothing more painful for a project manager than becoming someone who doesn't know how to get things done. You learn very quickly through blood, sweat, and tears how to get things done effectively. You develop expertise in business process that is no longer considered to be something that is buried down underground with the orcs, i.e., which is where I was, down in the IT organization as a specialized and mysterious skill set. It's now a standard business process. Project management is taught at university. People that are getting their MBAs are more than likely to learn project management in school. And I can tell you, being a practitioner for over 25 years, quarter century ago, that would have been absolutely unimaginable. Now, it's something that's a standard and strategic business process. Another thing is there's an increased demand for our skills in a still troubled, a still sluggish world, economic malaise. So as organizations try to think how to do more with less and how to do what they do more efficiently, project management is one of those absolutely crucial skill sets to have. It's a real benefit to be a PM in a time of economic malaise like ours. There's a massive variety of opportunities available to project managers, and you have skills that are transferable across industries, unlike many other people who tend to be very nailed up into a niche and unable to move from industry to industry. And then finally, it's a life skill. If you become a good project manager, if you really put your heart into project management, you're the kind of individual who's going to make a difference in the world in which you live, because it informs every single other aspect of your life. You think in terms of goals, outcomes, risks, timelines, budgets, et cetera, and that just makes you overall, from a person point of view, a human point of view, a much more effective human being. So I hope that answers your question, Cornelius, but that's some of what I would respond to in connection with the benefits of a career in project management.
Right. And you got me thinking with all these skills and techniques that we learn, the depth and the breadth of how we see companies and the people we interact in companies, would you say project management, the job of a project manager, can also be a springboard into other careers?
It absolutely can be. So that even if you decide that you're not going to stay in project management, because of your exposure to strategy, to planning, to operations, etc., that can become an extremely valuable inroad into another area that aligns better to who you are as an individual and your long-term career goals and prospects. So absolutely, project management is a great place to start to move into another career. But for most of us that are in the profession, we're actually in love with it, in spite of our complaints about the difficulties and the challenges we sometimes have.
Yeah, exactly. Why go somewhere else? This is so interesting anyway. Yeah. Okay, these are the benefits. Let's move on into looking at our careers. But before we can do that, there are certain key factors that we as project managers need to have in order to have a successful career, right?
20 years ago, Cornelius, I well remember the fact that if you were going to become a project manager, you basically had to have masking tape on the nose bridge of your glasses and a plastic pocket protector, right? Because
Yeah.
you really had to be somebody who could calculate mathematically this, that, and the other in extreme detail and be a very, very scientific individual because it was seen as that kind of a role, that kind of a job. So, what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way is this: if you had deep technical skills and technical knowledge, particularly IT knowledge, that was something, those were the things that drove career success. Not anymore. Now, what we need to be able to have, first and foremost, and this is going to be a surprise for some of my IT colleagues, what you have to have above everything else is superior interpersonal skills and high emotional intelligence. You need to be able to work with people. You're not just working with a checklist or a spreadsheet. You're driving change through people. We are change execution specialists who are able to implement change through people. And if we can't work with people, if we struggle with interpersonal skills, then that would be what I would put into a number one category of key success. A second thing, of course, is solid PM technical knowledge. I mean, all the goodwill, all the high emotional intelligence, all the really incredible interpersonal skills in the world will not get a project done effectively if you lack the core technical knowledge of project management, principle and practice. Those two need to go together, but they are both equally important. You need also to have the ability to improvise. You need flexibility. Now, let me underscore that. There are some project managers who are absolutely inflexible. They are bought into their specific methodology, their framework, their process, and everything falls by the wayside in the process and its management. It isn't about the work anymore. It's about the care and feeding of the project management methodology. So, what can happen is our process can engulf the work, obscure the work, and make it so that it's expensive overhead that doesn't actually provide business value to the organization. Flexibility and the ability to improvise means we see our processes as things which we apply and adjust. We make them scalable to the needs of the organization. So, being able to improvise and being flexible are two key underlying factors in career success for PMs. You need, for goodness sake, to be able to laugh because I'm telling you, if you don't laugh, you're going to cry. You are going to hit so many potholes in the road, so many struggles, so many challenges, so many inane and ridiculous issues that hit you. You need to be able to laugh. And also, you need to be able to find ways to make the people around you laugh. I'll give you an example of what I mean. I'm not going to mention the country by name, but in a country somewhere in the world, in a time far, far away, a couple of years ago, a bridge was built. Big celebration at the side of the road. This bridge was finally in place. And as they were toasting, raising their glasses, drinking wine, The bridge fell down into the river below. Dead silence. The rumble stopped. The project management person turned to everybody and said, I think we need to have a lessons learned meeting. So you need to be able to laugh.
May I ask you a question? Would that happen to have been the Tacoma Narrows Bridge?
No, it absolutely was not. No.
Ah!
So you need to be able to work in teams, but also you need to be able to independently work on your own, just as much as you work in teams. But you need to be able to do both and have proficiency in adjusting accordingly. Curiosity and a quest for innovation and improvement. Project managers can never be satisfied with the way things are. They're change agents, which means they're also improvement specialists, which means they're always on a quest for a better way to do things. You've got to be determined and you've got to be optimistic. If you are easily disillusioned by struggle, challenge, opposition, or difficulty, then you're really going to struggle in this profession. So you need to have the optimism to see through circumstances, to imaginatively get yourself out of the box or the constraint or the turmoil or the challenge that you face. You need superior communication skills. You have to be able to speak and to write equally well. Work at it. And writing well doesn't mean that you write 15-page emails that nobody reads or 60-page charters that only you know anything about. You need to understand that communications is the art of taking complex information and bringing it across so that your stakeholders can understand what's important and the things that you're trying to say. You have to have an instinct for risk, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. We have all experienced being in front of a group of stakeholders and asking them about the risks, and them telling us, oh, there's nothing wrong, everything's going to be fine. The only risk is we might not be able to have enough time to do it or enough resources at that moment in time. And your gut tells you that's not the case. We're going through a reorg. We're having a system upgrade. We're replacing one system with another system. How is it possible that there's no risk? So your instinct, if it's telling you that there are risks, allows you to probe deeper. And then finally, we cannot be process cops. We can't be police officers of the project management process. We are customer service people. We're service oriented. We provide the service of project management to our organization. If we can get that right in our heads, then we become absolutely stellar project managers. And those unconvinced and skeptical business people begin to see us as people that actually add value, as opposed to inscrutably dense and obtuse, high overhead functionaries that don't add any value that they can think of. I hope that answers the question.
Oh, yes, it does. It does. Okay, so we laid the foundation. We heard about the benefits. We talked about the key factors. We got the foundation. Now let's move on to career optimization. And what we're going to do is we're sort of going to follow an imaginary project manager starting out in the early career, moving into the mid-career, and then getting into the late career stages as well. And for each of these stages, we're going to look at how you can optimize. And don't worry, folks, we're going to get back to the template that Dev has provided to us. But let's begin with the career optimization in the early career. What are some of the job titles that people may be familiar with in the early career?
All right. So the project management job titles might include things like project analyst, project coordinator. You might even be a project officer. I know a number of people who have the title business analyst that are at this entry-level position. Now, please, do not ever think when you hear a job described as entry-level that somehow that means inferior. I'm telling you, you are dead meat if you don't have a good project analyst on some of your projects. You're absolutely toast if a good project coordinator is not there to support you, to supply some of the analysis and some of the detail work that needs to be done as you run around the organization, leveraging your relationships to remove roadblocks. Project analysts, project coordinators, perfectly honorable, wonderful place to start. What is the advice on optimization? 1, focus on learning your job well. Don't waste any time. Be ambitious enough to dig down and dig down deep to learn everything you possibly can. Volunteer to offload some of the low-level administrative tasks your boss has. Now, that is going to be counterintuitive. In a world where you have been told you are wonderful from the day you were born, and that you deserve to have the moon, the sun, the stars in your lap just because you're you, you're going to have to step aside from that to volunteer to take on the job that your boss hates to do. Why would you do that? You do that because by taking those tasks on, the dirty, ugly administrivia, from him or her, you demonstrate to them you're willing to roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty, doing anything you're not too proud to help and support them. Who do you think they are going to come to when they have plum opportunities to share around the department? They're not going to go to that entitled guy who sits across from you in the cubicle, looking at himself in a mirror, looking at a picture of himself on his desk, and the screensaver that is once again a picture of himself, waiting to be told he's been promoted into a position of superiority to where he is. They're going to come to you because they know you got the crummy jobs done. You did the low-level tasks without complaining. They are delighted to give you something bigger and better. So volunteer to do these things because it gives you bigger opportunities down the pipe. You see another person who's a project manager that you look up to and you admire, ask them to be your mentor. I cannot think of a single project manager that would not be complimented to his core, who would be delighted to the center of her soul to be able to support you and strengthen you. And how do you do it? Well, you take them out for a coffee. You take them out to lunch once a month, once a quarter, once every 2 weeks, but do something for them. Give them something nice and just ask them to advise you. Tell them about what you've done. Tell them about what you are experiencing. Ask their advice on how best to make and manage those steps from one stage to another stage of your career. They will absolutely put their arm around you and give you that support. Look for a coach. Now, I work as a director for a cancer agency and a project management office in Canada. And I'm at the same time also a business owner. And my business is career counseling or career coaching for project management professionals. Find a coach. Now, a coach can be somebody that you pay for the service of coaching you, which is the kind of thing that I do. Or a coach could be somebody who is in your organization. Now, what's the difference? Well, a mentor is somebody who you may look up to that has qualities and traits that you absolutely admire. It may be a VP, and she may be the VP of marketing, for instance. And she is such a profoundly gifted leader that you just think the world of her. And you would love for her to teach you not about project management, but leadership. That's a mentor. A coach, on the other hand, is somebody who is in your profession, somebody who's further ahead of you, somebody whose skills you'd like to be able to learn, adapt, adopt, and reflect in some way, though filtered through you and who you are as an individual. So that's what the differentiation is between the two. They overlap to some degree, but the mentor doesn't have to be in project management. The mentor can just have skills or traits that you so want to learn from and develop yourself that you go after learning from them. You need to commit to continuously upgrading your skills and your capabilities. Now, don't wait for your organization to develop you. You look for things that you can be trained in, internally and externally. Ask the organization if they're willing to pay for things. But if they're not, don't let that stop you. Why would you let their budget constraints stop your personal development? I learned the art too late in my career, well, at this stage anyway, of just saying, well, if you're not going to be paying for that, that's no problem. I'll pay for it myself. I'll use some of my bonus money, or I may even, depending on how important it is, liquidate some savings to do it because it's important enough to my career. Get your CAPM designation. Practice quiet ambition. Now, please hear what I just said, young practitioner. Not braying, garish, out there, braggy ambition. I'm going to take over that idiot's job. I can do it 10 times better than him. Are you crazy? What's that fool my boss for? For crying out loud, the guy doesn't even know what a Gantt is, right? Well, that's the kind of loud and stupid ambition that actually nails you to your chair and you never move, right? If you do it quietly, not to unseat, not to erode, not to somehow embarrass, but in order to move forward, you'll get to where you're going. Be smart, be active, be dedicated, and you will move. Volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. And I'm talking about external volunteer work, but also internal volunteer work. Let's start with the former and then we'll deal with the latter. If you are volunteering with external organizations that may be in the community, you're doing something that is absolutely profoundly important for the life of the region or the geographical location or the community that you belong to. Volunteer. And a reason that volunteer work is so important is it exposes you to areas of endeavor you would not be exposed to early in your career. I'll give you an example. You could volunteer for your PMI chapter. You could volunteer for a shelter for abused women and children. You could volunteer for a New Americans, New Canadians, New British sort of individuals organization. You're dealing with people that need help, encouragement, and support. And you might be in a very small agency that has a small budget, but you're a volunteer. Well, all of a sudden, you've got to deal with HR issues, finance issues, IT issues. You don't know anything about IT, but you've got to deal with website issues. And you know what? You find there's nothing you can't learn. There is nothing you can't pick up. Imagine the impact to your career. You learn there's nothing you can't do. And you get insights into areas of the organization through your external volunteer work you wouldn't otherwise have. Internal volunteer work. There are all kinds of non-sexy organizations within your company that you can join. There's things like Health and Safety Committee. Now, if you were in one of those towers during 911, you just think the important role you could have played if you were a member of the Health and Safety Committee and you said, I don't care what they said, we are leaving this building. Now, that's a horrible example, but it's the kind of thing where health and safety is saving people's lives. There are other things. There might be a green committee. There might be a social committee. There might be, who knows, any number of committees. Volunteer. Management pays attention to early career practitioners who jump into and volunteer. What about some other things? Make sure you choose the right organization. And in your interview, do not fall prey to the cotton candy effect. What's that? Well, you start to overplay your limited experience, and slowly, like a series of piranha in a fish tank around a goldfish, they start nipping away. They find out as they squeeze the cotton on that cotton candy, there's nothing there but a little stick on the inside. You get embarrassed, they get irritated, everybody's time is wasted. Don't fall prey to the cotton candy effect. Tell the truth, but learn the skill about showing how your experience can actually be applied and transferred into the new role or the new organization. Please stay longer than 2 years in the same role, or don't stay longer than 2 years in the same role in your early career, but please try to stay in the organization more than 2 years. At your early stage, 5 years in a company, with 2 years at least in one job and another job, and maybe a year as you're looking for your next role, is good. It looks good. But if your job history is a patchwork quilt, a mosaic of 6 months hopping back and forth, they'll just think you're Jiminy Cricket, and there's no way you're going to stay in their organization. So why should they take a chance on you? Okay? Learn everything you can about the business you're in, its core services and products, the customer base and the marketplace it's in, its strategic and operating plans. What are the strengths and the weaknesses of the organization? And what is the executive team's vision? Now, you might think to yourself, yeah, whatever, old crazy fossil. Are you out of your mind? Why would I even care about that? When a young man or woman puts her hand up and says, in an employee meeting that the CAEO has just been giving a presentation to, can you tell me a little bit about the strategic impact of the new competition in telecommunications that has just moved into our region, having to do with X, Y, or Z technology? There's dead silence in the room. Everybody looks at you, and the CEO now knows, in his mind, I need to keep my eye on that kid. That's the kind of employee we need at the entry level in our organization. What did it take for you to do that? Read the news, read the newsletters, take a look at the plan that comes out on an annual basis, as well as the annual report, and you'll be able to get those sorts of insights. Watch your boss, learn everything you can from that person. Watch your opportunity to move into a project manager's role and beg for any opportunity you can get to do some project management work. And please remember to be thankful, right? This is a world where we completely forget to say thank you to the people that help us from stage to stage. They're not rungs on a ladder. They're people with hearts and minds and feelings, commitments, and they made the sacrifice to do something to help you in your career. Never, ever forget them. How do you know you're ready to move to the next level? Well, you've mastered the hard and soft skills of your role. You've achieved the certification that's appropriate to your level. You've been practicing some of the elements of the next role. The move to the next role doesn't feel like it's shocking. It's a natural progression. And people that are around you that you feel are knowledgeable and you trust, they think you're ready. Your resume has a good mix of significant accomplishments to demonstrate that you're ready to make your move from this early stage to the next stage. And these things apply whatever stage you're at. And you've achieved a good balance between formal on-the-job accumulation of experience and some of the informal volunteer activity we were talking about. So I'll turn it over to you now, Cornelius.
All right. What I wanted to do now at this point is, I've promised it twice already that we're going to be talking about the template that you have provided to us. So first of all, thank you so much. The template is fabulous. It's 48 pages long, and it helps people in their career optimization. Who should be using it? Anybody at any level of their career?
Absolutely. Now, I absolutely love making templates. I'll take other people's ideas and transform them, change them around. But I find all the tools I never had in my career, I'm creating now as a career coach. So I thought, what would really benefit, after all is said and done, the people that listen to this podcast? And I thought this package would do it. The first thing, we need to understand what our career values are. Now, I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. If you, Cornelius, are someone who is people-oriented, you care about relationships, you care deeply about having open, team-oriented, collegial relationships with the people around you. If you were to work in a bottom-line company where that's all they cared about and nothing else mattered but revenue, you would absolutely hate it. So understanding what your values are helps you to determine what's the right kind of work environment for you, and what are the kinds of environments you should probably avoid. So the first section of that document, the way I've structured it is you work out your career values above everything else first. At first, it feels, as an IT background person, a network services kind of person, that would have felt like touchy-feely nonsense to me. Today, I realize it's the DNA of your career. If you're in an organization, the values of which don't align with yours or are in harsh conflict with yours, you're going to be miserable. The second thing is a tool in there called the Career Satisfaction Graph. Look at your career over the last 5 to 10 years and work out year over year, plus or minus 10, what was your job experience? Just determine in your mind overall. You'd be surprised to find in some jobs, you might be in the same job for 5 years. The first 2 years were plus 5, 6, 7. The next couple of years went down to minus 5, minus 8. And sometimes it's because of environmental changes. It's a change in organizational structure. Your boss changed. Something about your job changed. So tracking something like that historically, as far back as you can remember to where you are now, can be hugely, hugely helpful to you in your career. That, together with the values document, well, those two things alone, if you use those alone, will give you more insight than you would ever have. And that's a couple $100 worth of coaching practice right there with a coach. So I wanted to give you that. There are other parts of the document too that are very, very worthwhile, wherever you may find yourself. The next one would be, what are the career goals you want to set yourself? Now, a career goal, a career transition goal, might be something as comprehensive as a complete change in your profession. Another goal might be, I want to be as good as I can be where I am right now. Another one might be something like, I want to become someone who has better emotional intelligence in my interaction with my colleagues. So that document is flexible enough, versatile enough that whatever you want to do with it, you do with it for your career goal that is unique to you. The next thing is, and I figured I'm a project manager for crying out loud. Why don't I apply project management to my little process, my little homegrown methodology that I've put together for career coaching? So what do you think I did? What you would do. I put together a career project plan. It has in its scope, deliverables, stakeholders, risks, timelines, associated budget if you've got to pay for training, travel, etc., all of those things. It's exactly what you would do for your project, because you know what? One of the most important projects in your entire life is your career. That's what it is. It's a project. It goes through stages and phases, and there are key outcomes that you want to be able to achieve. Finally, the other one that I would say is applicable to everyone is the career journal. And that is a way for you to keep tabs on a bi-weekly basis, a monthly basis, on the things you're learning, the things you're trying to advance, the things you're trying to develop in yourself. And you might think to yourself, good grief, man, I've already got a bloody, performance plan that I've got to do, and I hate doing already. Yes, whatever. This is a performance plan where you report to you. Your project, where you are the sponsor as well as the implementation team, and at the same time, you are the beneficiary of the ultimate outcomes of that project. There you go. You're everything. You're the project, you're the project manager, you're the beneficiary, and you're the sponsor at the same time. But you need a document to help you keep on track. Your journal, your career journal, is that tool. So those are the key ones that I would suggest, Cornelius.
Is this something that people just do top down? You start at the front and you work your way through it? Or would you pick and choose depending on where you are in your career?
I've made it so that it can be picked and chosen in any way you want to use it. And I'll also give you the freedom to do this. If you want to take those templates and change them or improve them for you, go right ahead and do it. All I ask is this. If you improve one of these templates or that template, send me a copy so I've got your improved version and can work from that. And the only thing I also ask you is don't sell those things. That's given out of Cornelius's generosity to you and my wanting to share something with you of value so that you have something that you can use for your career moving forward. So those are the only provisos or conditions I'd set.
Excellent. And with the review of the early career of our fictitious project manager and a quick look also at the template that you're going to get, we have come to the end of part one here of our series of career optimization interviews. We are going to pick this up again in the next episode of the Project Management Podcast when we are going to talk about the mid-career. Dev, thank you so much for all the great information so far.
Oh, thanks for the privilege, Cornelius. It's been such a joy to do this. Thank you so much.
And that was Dev Ramcharan with the first of 3 interviews on optimizing your project management career. Don't forget to stop by at facebook.com/pmpodcast and participate to win one of the 4 premium career optimization packages that we are giving away in October 2014. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening. As always, you can find us on the web at pm-podcast.com. Please send your emails to info@pm-podcast.com, and when you write, please tell me where in the world you are writing from. And finally, we have this. Project management is God's gift to the control freak. Until next time.